What's good, everybody? I'm BPC and welcome to Competitive Origins MMA. Well, UFC 261 was fun, exciting, and very unpredictable. We had a crucifix and a baptism all on the same card. Now, there are 3 title defenses with 5 knockouts, 3 of them being technical. Now, in the first fight, we had Anthony Lionheart Smith taking on Jimmy the Crute. Now, when I announced this fight in a previous video, everybody that had commented on it had picked Crute to get the victory. And if you want to see those comments or check out any other videos, I've included a link below for you guys to click on and check it out. But don't forget to hit the subscribe button, click the notification bell, and hit the like button on this video. Now, when these 2 stepped foot in the octagon, it was a different story. Yes, Jimmy did land, many leg kicks, I don't feel he landed it in the right areas to really take advantage of the strikes, like Dustin Poirier did to Conor McGregor. But he did land a 10 leg kicks. But he had absolutely no answer for Anthony Lionheart striking. He jabbed his face. He looked like ground beef, basically. And then Anthony Lionheart Smith landed the most accurate leg kick of all time, basically landed it, and it essentially deactivated Jimmy's leg. It was like a Gumby. It was just bendable. It was just moving, and he couldn't stand on it. He had to resort to wrestling, and then the round ended. Now, the doctor was fully aware of what happened to him, and they thought maybe his leg would have, woken up and he'd be good to go. They had him come back out of the corner. They asked him to walk towards him. He's pounding his chest saying, "Let's go." He's ready to do this. He's a warrior at the end of the day, right? And then he started to stumble. He started rolling his ankles and lost his balance and stuff. And the referee and the doctor had to stop it. So therefore, you have TKO, doctor stoppage, and Anthony Lionheart Smith gets the victory. Now, moving on from there was Uriah Primetime Hall going up against the All-American Chris Weidman. Now, this was, I think, the first fight where, 1 strike was landed and the person that didn't land the strike actually ended up winning the fight. And it sounds confusing, right? Well, Chris Weidman came into the fight and he threw 2 strikes. One of them landed, and, it was a leg kick, and Uriah Hall checked it, and the leg kick landed just below Uriah Hall's knee. And that essentially snapped Chris Weidman's leg in half. It was pretty brutal. It was reminiscent of when Anderson the Spider Silva had thrown a leg kick at Chris Weidman, and his leg had snapped in half. Like I said, it's one of the most brutal injuries that, I've seen in the UFC. I believe it's happened on 3 occasions, and I've been fortunate to see 2 of them live on pay-per-view. Now, with that being said, they had to stop the fight, obviously. There was no way Chris Weidman was going to continue. He was in pain, agony, and it was just brutal. When you saw him do the leg kick, the leg snapped. And you could look at Chris's face and he had no idea. And then when he tried to step back on his foot, that's when everything just collapsed and it was just like game over. Now, apparently the bone actually that had broken went into his calf muscle. So there is, they're trying to make sure there's no infection there. But like I said, it was a brutal injury at the end of the day. But Uriah Hall, avenges his first defeat against Chris Weidman by getting the victory here. And I guess he gets to move on while Chris Weidman gets to heal. Now, in the 3rd fight, we had Bullet Valentina Shevchenko defending her championship belt against Jessica Andrade. Now, what was really unsuspecting here was the fact that, Valentina ragdolled her the entire fight. She definitely showed that she was the superior grappler. She got, Jessica's arm in between her legs. She then held the other arm down. She then started punching her in the face and started elbowing her in the face. And therefore, because she was unable to defend herself, the referee had to step in for Jessica and give, Valentina Shevchenko the victory by crucifix. Definitely a brutal win, you know what I mean? Like, she was all bloodied up and, it was awesome. It was entertaining, and she did what she needed to do at the end of the day, but she definitely showed that she doesn't have any weaknesses like some people might have thought and like Jessica Andrade had thought. Now, the next fight was the co-main event between Magnum, Weili Zhang, defending her championship belt against Thug Rose Namajunas. Now, the fight, I would say, didn't last very long. The introductions lasted longer than the actual fight because in under 2 minutes, Thug Rose was able to land a head kick that completely dropped Weili Zhang down to the ground. Now, Weili did pop up, she sat up, I would say, and that's when Rose started to punch her, and Weili, I guess was just out of it. She didn't have any response to it. She didn't try to get back up. She didn't try to protect herself. She didn't try to fight back. She kind of laid there as the strikes were just thrown in there, and the referee had to stop it and awarded the KO victory to Thug Rose Namajunas. Now, what was pretty interesting about that fight as well is that Thug Rose became the first former female champion to regain her championship belt. No other females had done that in the UFC previously, so Thug Rose now has made UFC history. Now, moving on to the main event, the highly anticipated matchup between Kamaru, the Nigerian Nightmare, Usman against Jorge Gamebred Masvidal. Now, in this fight, I was expecting Jorge to be the superior striker. And they started going out, and yeah, Jorge landed some shots, but, Usman was very technical with his shots and landed a good amount of them, and then Usman got a takedown. But what I really liked seeing was the fact that Jorge was able to get up and back on his feet. I was worried that this was just going to be a grinded out fight once again, but it wasn't. And, Usman showed that he was also willing to strike. He faked the takedowns, but he was more, strike heavy. And at some points, he did look a little wild and stuff, and you saw him throwing shots, and okay, he looked out of place. But then once he dialed it back and just got back to being technical, he was on point. Now, after the first round, I scored round number 1 for Kamaru Usman, but I knew that Jorge wasn't out of it. The cardio looked fine, and I was waiting to see what was going to happen in the second round. Well, the second round didn't go too great for Jorge Gamebred Masvidal because these two individuals are striking, and then next thing you know, bam! Kamaru Usman basically baptized Jorge Gamebred Masvidal. He hit him so hard, it knocked him completely out. He had all this sweat on him. He probably had water on him as well. Like, he made Gamebred Masvidal look like a solar system. You just saw all the water in the air with the punch. It was glorious. It looked absolutely amazing, and Jorge was completely out of it. Now, Usman did go to the ground and then land a couple more strikes, which, wasn't in poor taste. But, he did state that, you're not supposed to stop fighting until the referee stops you. And, Jorge's been known to do that with his fights. So I guess it was all in fair game. Now, with that being said, like I said, this was definitely an extremely entertaining, pay-per-view, Like I said, you weren't expecting Jimmy Crute's leg to be deactivated. You weren't expecting Chris Weidman's leg to snap in half. You weren't expecting, Valentina Shevchenko to just grapple the entire match and then crucifix Jessica Andrade. You weren't expecting Rose Namajunas to knock out Weili, with a head kick in a minute 17 into the round, I believe it was. And then you definitely weren't expecting Kamaru Usman to be the superior striker in a striking match with Jorge Gamebred Masvidal, who Tyron Woodley even said was the best, boxer in the UFC. But, it is what it is at the end of the day. You fight long enough, stuff's bound to happen, as they say. Now, what I thought was really interesting was that when Jorge Gamebred Masvidal first faced off against Kamaru Usman at UFC 251, that event was 3 hours and 7 minutes long. But considering how many knockouts there were in this fight, and nobody got out of the second round, most of them finished in the first round, UFC 261 was completed in just a mere 1 hour and 35 minutes. So essentially, they could have packed in two UFC 261s in the amount of time it took them to do UFC 251. I just thought that was an interesting tidbit and wanted to share it with you guys. Now, go into the comment section below and let me know what you thought about the pay-per-view. Let me know if you were surprised by a lot of the results. I'm definitely curious to hear what you guys have to say. And if you have any predictions as to what some of these fighters are going to do moving forward in their career, feel free to put it in the comment section below. Thank you for tuning in today, guys. Go to Competitive Origins MMA, type in promo code MMA141. I'm BPC. Don't forget, you'll get 10% off this Competitive Origins Get It Done t-shirt. Thank you for tuning in today, guys. I'm BPC, as I previously said. And remember, you've been competing since conception, whether you're competing against yourself or others. Competitive Origins.